you started to ask just all these questions about me, just wanted to get to know me, and I was living in Durango, Colorado at the time.
I remember this now.
And with such enthusiasm in your eyes and such a passion to share yoga living, you're like, I want to come to Durango. Let's do a yoga event. I was like, hey, I haven't practiced yoga in a year and a half. He goes, that doesn't matter. That doesn't, like, and just with such enthusiasm, not only shared the passion of yoga, the passion of yoga living, and really pulled me into your inner circle and wanted to be a part of my world and inviting me to be a part of your world. It just stood out to me so much. And I just love my heart and my passion and have such huge responsibilities in young living. But here you are, like, in this group, and you've done this for us, and it blows my mind.
When people make it to platinum, diamond, crown diamond, or upline diamond, they've done something amazing. I know when I made it to diamond on Delta, I'm like, I'm diamond on Delta. I get the diamond lounge now. It's status, right? Diamond, right? But it's work. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, and that speaks volumes to me when people are able to achieve that. And as Gary was saying this morning, like, look to people. Like, he didn't know how to drive a dog sled, right? But he figured it out in 7 days, right? He figured it out. And so you have to look. When I'm talking about looking and watching people and opening your eyes and seeing and opening your ears and hearing, like, just don't show up to the story. So I want you to listen to this beautiful woman's story about success, and she's got so many good things to say and tell you. So just really be present and listen, and let's continue to have a good time for the remainder of the time. So, Ms. Niccole Perez, everyone.
Dr. Perkins totally took my line about it being the first time me ever sharing or teaching barefoot. There goes that line. But anyway, I am Niccole Perez. I lived in Texas for 14 years, and you'll have to work through my twang. If you don't understand me, just kind of nod your head and let me know, and I can try to enunciate a little bit better. So my journey with Young Living started in a living room. Danette Goodyear, Crown Diamond, has been with the company 22 years now, is my Crown Diamond upline. April Pointer is my enroller. She's a Royal Crown Diamond. The night that April Pointer enrolled, I was at that class. And I am standing in front of y'all as proof that any skeptic can be converted, because I was probably the biggest skeptic to ever attend a class. When you sit and you hear Danette Goodyear talk about the Farms and Friends, and you hear her talk about her experiences with Gary Young, and you still throw up red flags and say, I don't believe it, you know that there's a whole lot of research to be done. So what happened after that first living room class? April Pointer invited me into her world, and that is what I'm going to be talking about, the power of invitation today. Every single month, April Pointer invited me to go to Danette Goodyear's class. She would call me on the day of a class, and she would say, hey, Danette Goodyear is teaching a class tonight. Do you want to go? I said, I don't know. She's like, great, I'll pick you up at 6. I said, I don't know. But you don't tell April Pointer no. She is a very sweet yellow, but when she says you're going to show up somewhere, you're going to show up somewhere. And so she would come by my house, and she would pick me up. And every month for 2.5 years, y'all, I went to these classes, and I was not a member. Meanwhile, I went home, and I tried to prove that Young Living was not the best essential oil company. And I was on the phone, and I was asking people if I could go see their farms. At this time, my husband and I ran the largest organic food co-op in the state of Texas. We had 2,500 families that purchased from our co-ops. We were all over the state touring farms, so farming was super important to me. And at the same time, I was hand washing dishes and dish pans because we were so poor that I couldn't run my dishwasher, and I didn't want to use too much water to wash dishes. And organic food and organic lifestyle was so important to me that I was willing to make sacrifices by not running my dishwasher or my dryer. So if you have people that are like, oh, I can't afford it, it just means it's not become important enough to them yet to be able to afford it. So about 2.5 years into this whole mess, my husband was convinced I was getting a certificate in aromatherapy. He's like, you just keep going to these I knew about distilleries, the Shakespeare distilleries, stainless steel food grade distilleries. I mean, I had done all the research, but the one thing that won my heart over was hearing Gary Young talk about that school in Ecuador. And I said, whatever that man is doing, I want to be part of. I don't care if I have to hand wash dishes for the rest of my life. I want his oils, and I want to be a part of what he's doing exactly, and walk in integrity. And so I walked to the back of the room, and I signed up for my kit, and I looked up from the table, I looked April Pointer in the face and said, don't you dare talk to me about doing this business. I will never do this as a business. Yeah. And so she totally honored that. She never brought up the business to me. And I had been purchasing oils from her, like one by one, throughout those 2.5 years. So I had some experiences with some different oils. Well, all of a sudden I got this kit, and I froze. For 6 weeks I didn't touch my premium starter kit because it was so intimidating. Even though I read the desk reference, and even though I'd done all this research, I just froze. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like this is just too much. Well, finally started using the kit through April coming over and saying, hold out your wrist. And she like literally just became bossy after saucy and walked me through the whole kit. And we learned these oils together. So about a year later, there was a woman who was purchasing from our organic food co-op, and she had asked me 3 times to teach class. And I told her no every time. I said, no, it's a network marketing company, and I like having my integrity. So, anything you could have done to like shoot yourself in the foot to get started in this business, I have probably done. And so I kept sending her to other people. I was like, oh, you can go order oils through her, and the orders through her. She's like, but Niccole, like, I know you. Like, would you come to my house to come and teach a class? And so at the time, I had no clue that I was April Pointer's platinum leg. I was down in her platinum group. And so I called April, and I was like, April, this woman has asked me 3 times to teach a class for her, and I keep telling her, no, this is a network marketing company. Will you go and teach a class for her? And she was like, yes. Yes, I will. So that night, we showed up at this woman's house, and there are 23 women in this living room. April freezes. She was a gold at the time. She freezes, and she's like, you're a childbirth educator. You are getting up there with me, and you are teaching this class. And I was fuming mad. I mean, fuming mad. I was like, I told you. And so we got up, and so we get up, and we teach the class. We got 14 enrollments that night. Out of 14 enrollments, 9 people got started with Niccole Perez kit because all of a sudden I word vomited. I mean, your kid needed Niccole Perez, and your kid needed Niccole Perez. And listen, that teacher that you love so much, you need thieves in a diffuse. I mean, I wouldn't shut up. The class lasted almost 3 hours because I was just so excited. And after the class, like after everyone had left, and poor April like debriefed because she's an extreme introvert, and I was like crazy high. Like, this is so amazing. I went in my car in this lady's driveway, and I put my head on my forehead, and I began to weep. Like, ugly weep. Because the year leading up to me starting this business had been the hardest year and the loneliest year in my entire life. We were healing my son with autism through the gap stage, and not him saying essential oils that support all of our emotions as we were going through that. I had a very small group within my faith community that accused me of witchcraft, accused me of idolatry, accused me of leading people astray in the church because of my diet, because of my lifestyle. And I was called before the church elders, and when I explained what it was I was doing, they all laughed. Like, do you have some frankincense at you? We'd love to smell it. So it was honestly like, they were like, this is the most ridiculous thing that we've ever heard. So I was kind of thrusted out of the community that I had known, and that's when I discovered yoga. And I mean, if they were going to think I was a witch, I might as well go and prove them right. That's just where I was, because I'm a blue, if you're familiar with color personalities. I do have a little rebellious streak. If I'm going to rebel, that's where my red comes in. I'm going to do it all the way and in style. And so I joined the yoga community, and it was there on the mat, combined with essential oils, when I experienced the power of God in ways that I could not even articulate to other people. And it was there that I learned that I had to be comfortable with myself, and I had to own who I was and be okay with who I was. There was a lot of personal development that happened within that year. At the same time, the Lord brought an amazing woman who recently has passed into my life that just spoke truth to me. And the thing that got me off of the ledge leading up to the business, and she said, Niccole, money answers all things. She said, if you are a greedy, vain person, when you get money, it will answer that. You will become more greedy, you will become more vain, you will become more intrinsic, and you will isolate yourself more from the world. But if you are a generous, caring, loving person, when you get money, it's going to expose your heart, and you are going to give bigger than you ever thought you could, and you're going to love in bigger ways than you ever could. And it was one of those life-changing moments. So back to that first class. The next month after that first class, which is now like a year later, my husband gets a check in the mail. It was a large amount of money for us. Keep in mind, we were not running our dishwasher or our dryer. And he gets this check. He's like, "What's this from?" I said, "Oh my goodness!" I don't know. And so I called April Farmer, and I was like, "Hey, we just got this like large check. It was 4 numbers without a period from my first month of doing the business." I was like, "How did that happen?" And she was like, "Remember that class that we taught that you were so excited about? That's where that happened." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And she was like, "Yeah." So I get off the phone and I was like, "Brandon, remember that class that I did?" I called him and he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "We made that much money there." He's like, "Great, can you do it again?" Thanks, babe, but no. And he was like, "Why not? Why? I'm working 70 hours a week. Why can't you do this again?" And I said, "Not without seeing the farm." And so that was May 2013. I called April up and I said, "What do I need to do to get to convention next month?" And she said, "Well, you need about this much money." I said, "Great, can I make t-shirts? Is that allowed? Can I sell t-shirts? Can I sell bags?" I listed everything I could find in my house on Craigslist to sell. I sold t-shirts, I sold bags, I did everything in my power to get to convention. Convention that year was amazing. It was just so neat. But y'all, what happened out on farms changed my life forever. So one of my favorite verses from the Bible is from Psalm 51. It's "Cleanse me with hyssop and I shall be cleansed. The bones that you have broken will rejoice." And I walked out into a test field in Young Living, and there was hyssop, and there was a plaque in the hyssop field, and it said a cleansing and purifying herb. And the field was here, and the mountains were here, and the pose that we did the other day totally reminded me of this.
Heaven and earth.
Heaven and earth.
It's on my YouTube.
And here I am looking at these mountains, and I'm looking at this hyssop, and I realized I was invited into a really big story in that moment. The God that carved mountains with his words and gave us plants before any sickness or sad emotions or anything like that had come into the world. He gave us plants. He gave us plants. And I realized I'm in the middle. How can I take this into the world? So what I did in true Niccole fashion, I jumped the gun. I had no plan. I had no sales experience. I started calling everybody that I knew from that farm. Said, "Hey y'all, I am standing on the Young Living farm, and I've just gone through this convention experience, and I have this hyssop thing, and I'm talking a million miles an hour, and no one can understand me. But I'm like, please, will you have me in your house because I need to tell everybody that I know about these oils?" And people said yes. I went home, and the last week of June, I was a senior star at convention in 2013. The last week that I went home, last week of June, I taught 5 classes. The month of July, I taught 9 classes. I went from senior star to silver in 6 weeks, from convention to the end of July in 6 weeks. In August, I taught 13 classes, and for the next 6 months, I taught anywhere from 13 to 18 classes a month. And everybody wants to say, everyone wants to know, how did you get that many classes? How did you get people to come to your classes? And it's what we've been hearing all day, passion. Passion. I had a story, and I wanted to invite people into my story. I wanted to invite people into my, I did not know the comp plan. I was 4 months into being silver, and I did not know the comp plan. April just said, "You go do your thing because you're my platinum." Megan, I just hit platinum, and you're doing a phenomenal job at this. And I will figure out your downline for you. You just go and do your thing. And so that's what I did. And I showed up, and I was a stay-at-home mom. I was a childbirth educator and a doula, but I didn't have any sales experience. In fact, I ended up losing money as a doula because I couldn't charge people. It was awful. I was not a businesswoman. So I didn't close my classes either. All of those classes, my first 4 months, I didn't have a closing for my class. I would get up and I would be so excited, and I would teach, and I'd be like, "All right, y'all, thanks for coming." And people would look at me and be like, "How do we get the kit?" And I'm like, "Oh, y'all, it's an MLM, and I'm so sorry, but like, you're gonna have to like go online. Here's my member number if you want to use it. And people just kept using it. So I'm saying I did everything wrong. But the difference was my passion. My passion. I was so excited, and I had such a desire to connect with people and invite people into my world. Everybody had my cell phone number. Nobody told me you're not supposed to do that. I mean, everybody had my cell, and I'm not saying not to do that, but I was getting texts all the time like, yes, let's meet up, let's have coffee, let's do this. I didn't have a system that I followed. So I hit silver in July. I hit gold that following March. So from senior star to gold, it was 9 months, and it was all through relationships and classes. And anytime that anybody was slightly interested in oils, I'm like, yes, get 5 friends together, and I will come and teach a class, and they're gonna love it. And I mean, I word vomited because I didn't know any better. I still don't know any better in case y'all aren't tracking with me. Anyway, and so the 15 months after stepping foot on that farm, I hit platinum, and that's where things got really rough for me. I started to lose the sight of my vision at platinum. I started looking around, and I was like, oh my goodness, this team makes beautiful graphics. My team needs graphics. Oh my goodness, this team has a system. My team needs a system. Oh my goodness, I just kept looking around, and comparison began to rob me of joy. And I started wanting to become like the other leaders that I was seeing, and the other people and what they were doing. And I worked myself into a 70 to an 80-hour work week, and I lost all joy and all passion. And I struggled. I struggled to communicate because I forgot what got me into this business, and that was that I had a story to tell. I had a story to tell of being stuck between that mountain and the hyssop and realizing I had a purpose. I had a really big purpose in my living. So October 2015 comes around, and I went to an event, a personal development event, in Las Vegas. We're in the Hard Rock Cafe in Las Vegas. And one of the people who are presenting walks up to me when he sees that I didn't write down a goal for my business. And he said, why didn't you write anything down? I said, I am done setting goals. Which, oh my goodness. And he's like, why do you have worthiness issues? To which I looked him straight in the face. I said, how dare you say that to me? You don't know me. He's like, no, but you're going to sit with that for a minute. So he walks back around. He's like, I know what your goal is going to be. It's going to be to disappoint people. And I was like, you don't know who I am. Like, I don't disappoint people. Like, I can't. Like, I can't sleep at night if I think I've disappointed somebody. So that was October 5th. I left Las Vegas, and I went home saying, I'm going to disappoint people. How's that for a goal as a businesswoman? I'm going to disappoint people. And I walk in the front door, and my husband's like, how'd it go? I was like, I'm going to disappoint people. And he was like, oh goodness, like I feel a nervous breakdown coming on. Like, this is not good. And so literally for 3 days, I did not change out of my pajamas. I just paced my house, and I played with my kids. And it was during that time that I know strongly in my spirit that I heard the Lord say, Satan schemes my children rest. Who will you align yourself with? And I was crushed. I realized I had been going, and I had forgotten what I was called to do. I'd forgotten who I was. I'd forgotten that I was given this beautiful, super amazing team to manage, and I was just caught in doing, and I forgot about that connection. So y'all, in October, I didn't check my virtual office that entire month. Blue, red here. Can I tell you how hard that was to do? But I made the commitment not to. October 27th, I checked my virtual office, and my OGV from the previous month had jumped to 74,000 OGV, and I was about 4,000 away from getting diamonds. And I was like, I've rested this month. This doesn't compute. Like, how I've worked so hard to get to this point, and that was the month that I hit diamonds. And what happened there, it was the month that I decided that I was going to reconnect with my team, that the relationships in my team meant more to me than any rank, meant more to me than any paycheck, that if it's a Zig Ziglar quote, that if you help enough people get what they want, you'll have everything that you want. And I had walked away from that. Well, the next month I hit diamonds, the next month I hit diamonds, and I was resting. And over this last year, what has happened, last 16 months, it has been all about building those relationships and inviting people in. No matter how deep they are in my organization, I have a super precious member in here that's deep in my organization. I will not get paid on her until Royal Crown Diamond, and she's one of my dear need me, I'm on the phone. It does not matter. It is all about relationships, inviting people into this world and allowing them to get an inner glimpse. When I'm having a bad day, I can go to my team and say, y'all, I'm not Superwoman. I'm not. I can be vulnerable. Not that you've dumped all your junk on your downline. That is not what I am saying. I'm just saying be human. Like, let people see your realness. These people are staying in my house. They see how I parent. They're on Zoom calls with me. They're hearing me talk. And so, and once I moved to Utah, we just moved to Utah last April. And when I moved to Utah, I had zero intention on doing anything in Utah. I was like, I'm going to love my team. I'm going to love them well. And I got here and I started hearing the stories. The stories. And I was like, oh no, we are taking back this narrative. I am standing in the place where Gary Young built this dream, and I'm taking back this narrative. And what I did is I reached back into the community where I knew I had been embraced, and that was the yoga community. And we started going to yoga events. And y'all, my biggest tip for y'all is invite people into the story. The story is a man who had vision, a man who was a radical, a man who did. We heard him speak this morning. The fact that I'm even on stage where Gary Young was like 6 hours ago makes me sweat a little bit. But when I start talking about a man who builds farms in Ecuador and starts school in Ecuador, we are not just inviting people to experience a bottle of oil. Though that bottle of oil is amazing, we're inviting them onto a journey. Every bottle of oil that we hold in our hands has a story. And when you go to the farms and you experience the farms, you realize that after being in Ecuador and being in the Ylang Ylang farms, you realize like there's nothing, like I don't have the adequate words to say what it is to take off my shoes and to stand in the mirror, or take off my socks and shoes and stand in the man's vision, which Danette Goodyear told me to do when I first came to this convention. My first convention is take off your shoes because you are standing in the man's vision. Allow the frequency of the earth to be felt. Let it feel it in your body. Let every cell of your body absorb a man's vision. And that's what we are inviting people into. We are inviting people into a journey, into a story, into an experience. When I explain to people, when you hit silver, you get to go on a farm and you get to experience Gary Young's vision. It is so much more than a purse or a car. And at first they doubt me until they experience it themselves. And they say, oh my goodness, I feel it. I know what you're talking about. So when I invite somebody into my world, what does this look like? What does it look like as a business builder to build this business when it's all about relationships? What that looks like for me is I make a whole lot of best friends. And it's genuine best friends because people can tell if you're just using them to grow your business. So I bring people close to me. I invite them to my house for dinner, and not to upsell them, not to try to do a sales meeting. I invite them to my table and we talk, and they know my children, and I go out and I meet them for coffees for 4 and 5 hours straight because I have a genuine desire in my heart to know their souls, to know their dreams, to know what makes them tick, what makes them sad, what drives them, the hurts that they've experienced. And so I bring these people close and I ask them, there's a 4-letter acronym that my team gets told all the time, and it's called forming people. You ask them about their family, you ask them about their occupation, you ask them about their recreation, what they enjoy, and you ask them about what motivates them, what gets you excited, what makes you get out of bed in the morning, what gives you a zeal for life. And as they begin to share their dreams, we write the dreams down, because once you write down a dream, it becomes a goal. And once they have a goal, we come up with a plan. And once they have a plan, we start taking action steps. And again, it's shoulder to shoulder. And what I tell my team, teach my team across the board, is that this business is really simple. It's hard work. Don't hear me saying it's not hard work, but we overcomplicate it. And we go in all these crazy directions. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to a few things. And my team members who have duplicated this have done very well. My team members who have rabbit trails or struggle and they feel lost. The goals are, this is what Adam Green taught me my first year at convention, is teach 2 to 4 classes each month without fail. You have 2 to 4 classes on your calendar so that as you're meeting people, as you're talking to people, as you are building relationships with people, you have opportunities to invite people into your home, into these classes. Every single day, you are talking to 3 people. And it might not always be about your living. It is true connections. If y'all, I don't know how many of y'all do not work outside of complex. You're a stay-at-home mom, homeschooling. 2 new best friends every month with the focus of them being leaders. Really bring them into your world, let them see what your day looks like, invite them to come and work with you side by side. My team is really spread out, so we do something called office hours, where we'll all turn on Zoom and we all work together. And we can chat if we want to chat, we can stay silent, or they can listen to whatever horrible music I'm listening to at the time. But I just invite these people into my world and make 2 friends in the business and let them see, because what happens is it gets them dreaming. When people start seeing the lifestyle that we live, my husband is retired from corporate America. He went from working 70 hours a week to being fully retired. We're homeschooling our children together. We were able to move to the mountains. We're able to co-parent, truly co-parent. We live a lifestyle that very few people get to experience, and it makes people ask questions. You bring them in, you invite them in. I don't need to invite somebody over to my house for dinner and pull out a flip chart of essential oils and be like, this is what I do. Are you interested? No. Like, they see the diffuser and the conversation naturally comes up. What do you do for a living? Why does he get to stay home? You have an office? I'm so confused, but you're a stay-at-home mom. Like, there's just questions that naturally come up. And then the 4th thing that I cannot emphasize, and that is personal development. It is my firm belief that 80% of this business is personal development. Constantly be working on yourself. We only can give to others as much as we have filled up our love tank. I cannot love on anybody if I am not loving on myself, if I am not taking care of myself, if I am not working out, if I am not eating right. I have nothing to give, and I'm actually shorting people, and it's a slap in the face.
I like your love.
It's a slap in the face, the people who I try to engage with. If I don't show up and I'm not fully present, and the only way I can be fully present is when I'm taking care of myself. So don't lose sight of that, because it gets crazy. So just to wrap this up, and then I don't know if we have time for questions. Y'all, invite people in. Invite people in. You can build this business on relationships. I had no social media following. I had no Instagram